Welcome to the Art of Dress. Today I'm excited to share with you how two styles use their ornamental design detail to bring their styles into their style inspiration. And what that means is that they make themselves basically a work of art. So thank you for coming and subscribing. I'd like to start showing you how ornamental design detail is so important for these two styles. And specifically, I'm talking now about bringing the styles into their style inspiration. So let me remind you what the style inspiration is. So the style inspiration for the True Dramatic is like an image that you can hold in your mind. It's like as if you were having a fairy tale in your head. And the image for the True Dramatic is that of a tree in the winter, when there's nothing to distract your attention from how the front of the tree trunk is shiny. And it makes the drama, but also it's almost like an eloquent design statement. And so what you're really showing is the three-dimensionality of the human form. So Candice Swanepoel is a True Dramatic, and she's wearing this dress that has a ruffle that's going down her body. So the shape of the ruffle is really appropriate for her because she wears medium long, actually extra long lines, sorry, not extra long, but long lines. And she also wears short curved lines. Her long lines are straight, her shorter lines are curved. So here, look what's happening with this skirt. So on the outside of the skirt, you see that the line is straight. And on the inside of the skirt, you can see that it's curvy. So with her ruffle, she's actually bringing attention into the center of her body, like I mentioned. And so it's and it's below her waist, which is where she would most like it, because she is a style whose focal point is below her waist. Excuse me one moment. So in this case, this is the straight line on the outside is still fulfilling that requirement for her. So she's doing both at the same time with this one skirt. Really cute for her. So what is the inspiration for the True Romantic? So she is basically inspired by the sun, by the day, how the sun comes out every day, and always the sunlight is like often drawn by artists as sort of concentric rings. So she's always showing this kind of the way light pools and spills and moves outwards. So here, what's good about her style is that she wants to be omega on top and she wants to be fitted on the bottom. And so she has a very sort of unornamented outfit, but she still has like light spilling out at the very bottom. So it's not her strongest design statement, but she's making it work. So I will actually tell you that with this ornament series, what I really could have as a subtitle for every one of these is making it work, because the ruffle is so important to these two styles that it frequently, in fact, maybe it's the norm, it takes an outfit that otherwise wouldn't be working at all for them, and it makes it still into a design statement that is still fulfilling their inspiration. So what is it that these two styles have in common that's causing them to both use a ruffle in the same way? So here we go back to the yin-yang wheel again, where all the styles are arranged mostly on the outside of the wheel, a few on the inside, and they're arranged by order of focal point. Focal point from basically meaning what is the strongest important part of the body to be emphasized in every outfit. And I should also say style focal point, because you are going to have minor focal points as well, but your style focal point is primary. So here you see this line and you see the symbol for Venus. These two styles are on this line. The one at the top of the line, I don't show you the style symbol in this case, but it's the True Romantic at the top, and that is Gigi Hadid. And her focal point is high on her body. You see how she's high up on the wheel, and her focal point is high on her body, and it is above her waist. And in fact, if you took a ruler and measured, her focal point is the same distance above her waist as Candice Swanepoel's is below her waist. They are completely opposite in terms of focal point, in terms of distance of focal point from the waist being the true classic. But as planetary lines, they also have some other things in common, and I'm going to show you those other things. But I'll tell you right now what some of them are. Besides that sort of inverse focal point, but exactly the same distance, they also have the same line, which we saw in the last part of the series. Fabric, line, ornament, those are the three things that make up every style. And these two styles share the line of their pant, their sleeve, and their skirt. So we saw that. They also share ruffle as their primary ornament. And that was important also for elevating their style, making it a stronger statement, but at the same time, it fulfills their style inspiration. They also have in common the way they use color. They use, hopefully, monochromatic colors in their outfits. And I'm going to show you some ways in which, when they're not finding monochromatic colors, they're doing the best they can with our imperfect world. So let's take a look at many examples of how they use ruffles. And the reason I want to show you that is because you might think to yourself, gosh, if I'm dressing to my style, I'm going to look the same. I'm going to be the same in every outfit. And I'd like to show you how that is not true, that there are so many ways to do it, to do these things, and Gigi and Candice are going to show us many, many of those ways. So let's go back to Candice again. So here she has a dress, and it's fitted, which is great because she's the most alpha style of all, and it's also monochromatic. Wonderful. And it also has a ruffle. So you might say to me, how can this ruffle be good? Because look how it's kind of making her top omega. And that's what Gigi does. That's not what she does. But there are some things that are happening with it that make it better, okay? That it is not perfect, but it still looks really good. Why does it look really good? Okay, so I'll talk to you about it. So first of all, you notice that she has ribbing in her sweater on top, and she also has seaming in her skirt. And so this is like rhythm of ornament. She's using a similar kind of theme to her ornament design detail in her top and her skirt. The width of it on the bottom is stronger, and it's also creating that panel idea that runs right down the center of her body. So that's also happening on the bottom, which is more important because that's where her style focal point is. What else? Okay, so she's showing she wears a boat neckline, and she's showing that horizontal line across her midriff. So that helps. But she's also strengthening at the top where she doesn't really show a boat neckline, but what's happening is her shoulders are kind of square here. And look how the ruffle is starting down the shoulder. Look on the right arm, you can really see it, but it's there on both. Not on the right, but the right side of the picture. You see how the ruffle is actually starting down the sleeve. So she has kind of a squaring going off, and that's reinforcing that horizontal line. And then finally, this picture is proving that having a ruffle in her outfit is better than no ruffle. But the ruffle itself is still showing this kind of a straightish line, and then the light pooling out, which is the statement, the design statement, or the inspiration of her style. So it's actually great. Now, Gigi. So Gigi is always, again, the inspiration is showing the way light works in sort of circles, and it has this repetition in a a curvy way. And in her case, she always wants, because of her style being an harmonic style in one of the ornament styles, that means that she's omega on top and alpha on the bottom. So what's good about this outfit? Here she is, monochromatic. That helps enormously. Number 2, her fabric has texture, and that's great for her. Number 3, look at the way the finish on the base of the sleeve and also across this kind of top piece. Look at her neckline, look at the bottom of her peplum, and look at the bottom of her skirt. It's an unfinished hem. She is an air style. That's totally in keeping with an air style, that sort of a raggedy detail. So she's got this top that's opening out. She's showing her waistline. She, as one of the styles with a very high focal point, she technically doesn't have her own waistline. She has to borrow one because her focal point is up here at her chest, and the Elaborate Romantic has the same thing. They have to borrow a waistline, and they borrow the same one whenever they can. But every other style, well, actually, some of the lower styles don't technically have a waistline either. But the styles that are in this center, the middle, where the focal point is in the center, the empire waistline from Josephine Bonaparte, empire, the French word for empire. So that she started that. That's right here at the top of the rib cage. Then you have the solar plexus, refined classic. Then you have the base of the ribs, refined natural. You have just above the waist, that's true gammon. So you have all these waistlines. She borrows the true gammon waistline, very close to the actual pure waist. So she has all of these things, but she still is, so she has this sort of like extension at the top, and then she has a repetition of the extension in her peplum. So that's that concentric feeling, that repetition. A stripe can do it, like stripes in her top can do it. She often does it with ruffles, and here she has the peplum is like a ruffle, but it's still repeating that top piece at her shoulder, forming that feeling of concentric rings, which is her inspiration. Now we go back to Candice. So Candice in this outfit is, she's got the shine in the center, and it's actually extending past her waistline, so that's good. And she's got the ruffle, which is like the light spilling on, like in the winter, how the light would spill onto the snow, reflecting the center of her body and then spilling out. So she has it in her sleeve and in her jacket. And in this case, her focal point on her body is at her wrist on her leg. So that is where her jacket is ending, but she has the sleeve repeating it, and in both cases she has her line. Now, you might ask me, how is it that she can wear soft fabric? I've said it before, but I don't mind repeating. So she actually contradicts her archetype because of her artistry. That happens half the time. And her artistry is composite, which means that no matter what her archetype says, that she wears that firm fabric, she wears soft fabric. So that's why soft fabric works so well for her. And then at least her pant is quite fitted, which is really nice because, and that's on the bottom of her silhouette, more important for her. So she's accomplishing a great many things. I myself frequently say, I try and find outfits with only 2 things wrong because our world is so far away from this. But you can see how really good it looks when there's only a few things wrong. It's awesome and monochromatic. So now let's go to Gigi. So she's also basically monochromatic here, like different versions of the same color. It's not even quite coordinated. It's pretty much the same color, but slightly more intense. But she has a ruffle that's opening out her silhouette, and she has a series of ruffles. So here it is again, concentric circles, omega on top. And notice that she's wearing shine. She looks amazing in shine, and it's more important if she has to choose that the shine be on the top because her focal point is on top and her style focal point. And shine is the way that her artistry contradicts her archetype. because she is harmonic, and shine is the fabric quality for harmonics. So let's go back to Candice. Now, in this case, she's wearing a dress with just the ruffle at the bottom, and there might be a slight ruffle at the sleeve, but it's so slight that you can barely see it. But the ruffle at the bottom is evident, and so she's bringing in the idea of pretty straight, like the straight line, and then the ruffle coming out. And that's not much, okay? Like, it's alluding to her inspiration, but there are so many things. This dress has so many things that aren't in her style. It's a great color for her. It's her prime color, but it has so many aspects that aren't doing what she would like. But the ruffle is basically salvaging her dress. It's amazing. Now, this dress has a few things that are working well. It's a pale blue. That's not her perfect color. It's close to one of her colors, but she has it's a light color, and she wears light colors, and she has the omega on top because of the way she has this sleeve with a curved line. It's a little hard to see here, but what you do see very clearly is the ruffle at the bottom, which is basically bringing in her case, it's doing slightly different, but it's bringing the idea of the circular way light works, and that, of course, is her inspiration. And so it really helps her dress. And she's got omega on top and alpha on the bottom. She's using the combination of medium long straight lines and short curved lines. So, and the ruffle is pretty small, so it's not too much emphasis at the bottom. And so it works. This dress works for her. And it would not work for her anywhere near as well without that ruffle. So it's really important for these two styles. So this case, she's got really strong long lines, and she's got one short line. So why is she using the short line at the top, and why does that work? The short ruffle is what I'm talking about. So of course it always reflects the light of having this this sort of ruffle idea. But if you look at the bottom of her dress, what she has is a slit, and the slit is showing the importance. The slit is really prominent. It's showing the importance of the bottom half of her silhouette. That's where her focal point is. It is also showing side to side variation. There's only a slit on one side and not on both. And that's very reinforcing to her style because she is a line style. That's how they work with space. The third thing is that she can't really bring a ruffle to the bottom with this slit. So rather than not have one at all, she's putting it at the top. And where is she putting it? She is putting it at Gigi Hadid's focal point. Because one thing I did not mention before now is that these two styles frequently reflect each other's focal point. And not only these two styles, but every two styles that are connected by planet reflect each other's focal point. So if they can't show their own focal point for one reason or another, they frequently show their reflected focal point. And that is what is happening right here. Looks great. Gigi Hadid is, in this case, wearing almost the same idea, only in her case, this is her focal point. Now, in her case, this blouse has a couple things that are good for her. But she's also, I just want to point, before I talk about all the good things, I want to talk about the fact that she is wearing contrast. She's wearing white and black. She's supposed to be monochromatic, but it's not terrible on her, and there's a few reasons why. One is that she's wearing neutrals. She's not wearing colors. So if you have to go outside of your color scheme for your style, neutrals work better for you than wearing color, if you're going to do it. And the second thing is that she has the line she's after, she has it in her sleeve, which is to say the sort of tapered straight line and then at the end opening out. And so that really helps a lot. And in fact, the fact that she's not wearing that line in her pant since her focal point is on top, her pant is a color that is a stronger color than she'd like to be wearing. She'd like to be wearing monochromatic. So not drawing attention there maybe is for the best. And having it be on her sleeve close to her focal point where she's already got her focal point marked is very good. She's showing the idea of the daytime by the fact that even though she doesn't have rings, she does have variegation going across the collar. And then she's also using a pale, like a see-through top, where the ruffle starts is where the fabric seems to actually start. I think she's got maybe some kind of very pale chiffon or netting or something. So that is strengthening her focal point, which is very good. And the ruffle is reflected by the line at her sleeve, and there you have the concentric rings. She's always looking for a reflection of the line in like more than one, and she's doing it there. So in this case, Candice again is working with color that's not perfect for her. She has shine and in her dark top, and then she has a brighter color on the bottom. But by at least having a peplum here, not only is she pulling the shine down past her waist, at least it's heading in the right direction, but she's also using the ruffle with more elaboration in the center to bring this part of her body into focus. So it works well for her, and as always, shows the line going outward like light. Gigi is again one more time using, actually I don't know if she's using neutrals, but a very talented person that is working for probably wherever this picture came from, realized that this looked better in black and white or sepia tone, so they took out the color and made it neutral. So I don't even know what color this actually is, but the neutral is better because she's in separates, and what she wants to be is in monochromatic. And also notice how this ruffle is pushing the attention up. And that's kind of like, not only is it actually literally pointing up to her focal point, but it's also like shining the light up into the top of her outfit because that's where her focal point of style is. And it really salvages the outfit, because without that ruffle, it would have nowhere near that joyous feeling of the day, which is her style inspiration. So now here's another example of making it work, because she kind of has her boat neckline. She has a black ribbon, which is bringing more emphasis into the center. And then she has her ruffles, which are more elaborated or maybe what, like more ruffling going on in the center of her body. As you can see, that's almost a theme for Candice, to bring that ruffle into the center of her body, where she wants to point out the three-dimensionality of form that is her style inspiration. And then finally, this is not a truly fitted top, but at least what's happening is that it's not super wide, and it is pushing the emphasis down because it doesn't stop above, but it continues down past her waist. So bringing more focus to the bottom of her silhouette. So again, making it work. In this case, Gigi is doing a few things. Notice that she's got design detail worked into the fabric itself, and that works pretty well for her because she, as an hairstyle, she doesn't want to try too hard with her ornament, and especially in a casual outfit. Her ruffle is very simple and it's right at her style focal point. And then she's holding her jacket in that way. If you saw her style profile, she so often creates the feeling of concentric rings by holding her jacket in this way, and emphasizes the omega line in the top of her silhouette at the same time. So Gigi Hadid making it work, but it's still really good. In this dress, Candice is doing a few things. She's got shine, so that's great because that automatically brings that sort of emphasis into the center, which is her style inspiration. She has the stronger pattern below her waist, which is really good. It's not all one color, but at least she's got rhythm of ornament going, because if you see those horizontal lines running through the red, that is repeated in every case. She's also pulling emphasis down with having the this kind of a tie that's off to one side, this kind of loop. It's like a tie that's like cording, sort of a thick cording. It's still shiny, and then it's got the fringe that's contained but dangling and pulling the emphasis down because her style focal point below her waist. Her ruffle is at Gigi's focal point, so there we go again, the reflected focal point, and she still has a ruffle to bring in the sort of, to magnify the intention of her style, which is, as a true dramatic, that's what she needs to do. And also it's not harsh. This softened, ruffly line is how she brings her style out of just the straight lines, which would be too strong for her, into something much more, shall we say, peaceful. Just like snow in the winter with a tree standing there. It's got peace to it, and it's got such reverence, and the ruffle is really helpful for her in doing that. And then here's Gigi one more time. So now this is a very interesting dress. Notice how the top ruffle and the middle ruffle are kind of like one piece. And so and then it's kind of like, it's so unfinished in a way. The way it just opens out there, it kind of looks like it gave way. And this is the air. She can do this because of being an air style. Shine, because she's harmonic and she's good in shine. Also, another thing that's happening is that her sort of top, which is a sort of a continuation, a visual continuation of her ruffle, is ending at her wrist. So there's the reflected focal point of Gigi. And it looks like her skirt hangs relatively straight to make the bottom of her outfit a lot like more alpha and the top the omega. And she has this rounding going on, and really what she has here is she has her neckline and the bottom of her ruffle, and so right in the middle of that is her style focal point. She's bracketing her focal point, but it's really cute for her and it works really well. Her fabrics are soft, but they're not droopy, and you see how this fabric holds its shape. So that's a balanced weave in a soft fabric. And so that's another thing that's good about this outfit, is that she has the kind of fabric, lightweight, balanced weave, and soft. It works for her. Amazing. I just want to remind you one more time, look at all the things two styles share when they have the same planet of style. Gigi at the top, Candice at the bottom, True Dramatic at the bottom, and True Romantic on top. And they share the same line to their pant, their sleeve, their silhouette. They share the reflected focal point. They reflect each other's focal points lots of times. They use the same design element of, in this case, ruffle, as a way of not only elevating the impact of their style, but in this case, of finding a way to work in the style inspiration into every single outfit. And use of color, that's the last one. Monochromatic when they can do it. I mean, if they could, they would always do it, because once again, it's actually really important for them in achieving what they're setting out to achieve with their style. But as you can see, a ruffle often compensates for lots of things that aren't perfect. And so it is a tremendous addition to the repertoire, you could say, to the lexicon of the True Dramatic and the True Romantic, the two styles of Venus. So let me just finish by showing you two more examples. One of my all-time favorite dresses for Candice Swanepoel. There are things that are not right about this dress. It is very fitted, that's great. She's wearing a black glove, that's giving her rhythm in her use of color. She has a ruffle created by these sort of rounded, like they're almost like flowers. And it's at the focal point of Gigi. So it kind of helps that it's there and not higher up on her shoulder. Wouldn't be quite as good. Although the ruffly line is really powerful and helps her in every case. Her focal point of her style could be stronger because she's got it kind of ties up, if you see, on the side. So it's pretty much at her wrist. You can see it maybe better on the right-hand side of the picture. But the last thing that's happening here is actually something to do with color. And we're not going to get to color until we go through artistry, but her contrast, she's a watercoloring. There you go, you have a repetition. You have a water style and watercoloring. In her case, it's the same. It usually isn't. But lightness near her face is very important because lightness is really important for her kind of coloring. And so she's got something light near her face to take away the really strong black, and it helps so much. So that is one reason why this is very effective on her. Plus, she's incorporating a very unusual use of ruffle, but it still works great. Dramatic also, I might say. It's amazing. And here's another example where the use of ruffle, there are many good things, but there are some bad, even though this is fantastic. This fabric is really stiff. Gigi does not wear stiff fabrics. But it's a really strong ruffle right at her focal point. It's one of her colors. It's muted gold, muted yellow. It's also, it's using that color close to her face. It's not her prime color, but it's a really good color for her. And she's got that ruffle going all the way across, which is opening out her silhouette on top and giving her omega on top. But more than anything else, she's got the ruffle at the top and kind of the ruffle at the bottom. So it's like a concentric circle of ruffles right around her omega top, close to at her focal point, and then repeating just below. So it's very, very effective on her. Smashing, really. So thank you very much for sharing this with me today. And the ruffle is so important for them. I hope you had a chance to see how outstanding it is. And also you can think, I wonder what does this for me? And so knowing when we get to the quiz and you can hopefully find out your style, then you'll have a chance to really see all these amazing things for you yourself as well. But also I've tried to, and I think I have reinforced so heavily how much the planet of style influences every single style. I could just as your planet, I could just as easily say, as I told you before, planet of color, planet of line, planet of color, meaning how you use color, not the color itself, but monochromatic or coordinated or separate, contrast, like separates. And there are so many ways in which even the inspirations of the style are connected through the planet. So thank you for coming. And thank you for subscribing. I look forward to continuing the Ornament next week. See you soon. Take care.